Welcome to The Preferred List, a podcast about the people behind the best wedding days. I'm James, a wedding filmmaker. I've spent years in the industry working alongside incredible vendors, and this show is all about real conversations with the ones who make it happen. Whether you're a vendor or a couple, you'll get honest insight, good stories, and maybe a little inspiration along the way. Let's meet today's wedding vendor. Hey Meg, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm so glad to have you on. Meg runs Winnie Bar,
Winnie Bar.
bartending service,
Yeah.
and I'm so excited to dive into all things bartending and like keeping the fun going and all of that stuff. But before we do, we're here at Birchwood Venue. Birchwood Venue is where rustic charm meets modern convenience to create the perfect wedding weekend. Nestled in Milton, Pennsylvania, Birchwood gives couples 3 full days to decorate, celebrate, and soak in every moment without feeling rushed. From the hydrangea-lined ceremony space to the beautifully restored barn, Birchwood is designed to make your day as stress-free and memorable as possible. And you've been here a couple times.
I've been here a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a preferred bartender here at Birchwood.
I love it.
Yeah.
It has such a nice space, and I love the weekend thing. Like I know they have it in there.
One day's not enough.
It's just so fun. You can celebrate all the whole weekend, but you can also have time to like set up, tear down, do all of the things.
And they've also put so much into this place since I started here. Honestly, Birchwood and I started at the same time.
Oh, cool.
So we were kind of coming into this together, and seeing how much they've grown and how much they've added to the space is incredible.
Yeah, it's so fun. And Holly, like,
So
great.
sweet.
Yeah,
Great.
so great. But Meg, I got a little bit of like, you got a lot of stuff going on in your life, which maybe is a good thing. Maybe it's not a good, I don't know. We'll get into it though. But
Yeah.
you have Winnie
hmm
Bar.
Yes.
Tell me how all of that started and what all of that is for you.
I've been waiting for this question. I actually told one of my castmates that I was going to talk 99% of the time about how my bar is named after my cat.
I love that.
So her name is Winifred. So it's a play off of Mini Bar. My friend Kira actually came up with it. Shout out to Kira. But yeah, as soon as she said Winnie Bar, I was like, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I do have 3 cats. We'll just say that. But
Okay, so
Winnie
Winifred
is,
might be in the top.
she might be there. She was my first,
Okay, yeah.
so
We'll
it
give her
just
that.
kind of fits. So everything that I've kind of done as far as aesthetics and designs for the bar business is curated a little bit around the cat mom life.
Yeah.
So cats and cocktails.
Cats and cocktails is so
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
So, take me back to like the beginning state. Like, how did you figure out that this was going to be something that you would enjoy and that would be like a business for you?
Well, I've been in the service industry my entire life. So from the start that I was 15 was my first hostess job. My mom also served most of her life, so I grew up watching that. So I went straight into the service industry when I was old enough to. And the thing is over time, I'm 36 now. You work at so many different places. You see how things are ran successfully, how they're not ran successfully. You build up a knowledge base for yourself. You build up a skill set for yourself. And then after a while, you just kind of want to take a little bit of control.
Yeah. You're like,
So
I could do that
I
a little
could do
different.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I always had people tell me, you're so great at serving or bartending. Like, why don't you do something different with it? And so finally I decided I would. The great thing about when I started was having a community of people around me who were extremely talented, and things just kind of happened naturally. I was sitting at a restaurant in Williamsport. The girl that was serving me, she's now one of my dear friends. Her name's Brinlyn. She was like, I'm a photographer. That's, what I do for my full-time job, but on the side I'm a server. And I was like, I'm trying to start up a bar business. I really need some cocktail pictures taken. So lo and behold, she did all of that for me. And then I had another friend in design who created my business cards. And then really it was just about getting on social media and having the confidence to say, hey, I'm starting this up. And that was the thing that gave me the confidence to then keep going, was seeing the response from
Oh,
the
cool.
people on social media. I had like over 350 plus people share it to, their own pages. And that was just really cool to see. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm doing the right thing here. So
Yeah, it's definitely validation for sure. Because I
100%.
know like maybe newer vendors or vendors that are like wanting to try to start something. There's always that like, but is it gonna work? Is it gonna have
Hmm.
traction? Uh, in those early days, was there like any hangups? I mean, it sounds like it was just like it kind of went and went and went. But was there anything you were like, I'm not sure about this?
Uh, I would say the only thing was one of my first weddings, which ended up going great. But I had them bring the ingredients for the craft cocktails that I was making, and they forgot the simple syrup,
Oh gosh.
which is monumental in a cocktail,
Yeah,
especially when there's lime juice and,
it's like all the sweetness is just gone.
yeah, exactly. So that was probably my first hang up where I was like, man, oh, this is rough, to run out to Wise and grab everything. And it ended up being totally fine. But really, my very first wedding that I did went so well. I ended up knowing people there. I had a great time. I was dancing. So yeah, it's kind of been nonstop ever since I started.
Yeah, that's so fun. So, just before, I like to get a little bit of context of like, what's life like for Meg and like this business ownership and all this other stuff. But Winnie Bar is not the only thing you're doing. You are also a teacher,
No, I work in admissions at Penn
admissions.
College.
Okay, at Penn
Yes.
College.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, how do you manage like you're doing that? You're now in like a play. Like, how are you managing all of these things?
Well, actually, the reason I was able to do the play and become a cheer coach this fall was because I didn't have any fall weddings booked this year, which is wild because usually fall is my busiest
Yeah,
time. But I had everything really booked in spring and summer this year, which I found very interesting. So I took on some of these extracurriculars. But really, I mean, time management and sleeping when I can,
yeah.
And the great thing is that all of these extracurriculars that I'm taking on, I enjoy all of them. I always say as long as I'm enjoying the weddings and the play and all these other things that I want to do, then it doesn't, if you
You
love
never
what you
work a day
do,
in
you'll
life.
never work a day in your
I
life.
love how he falls on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
But
it is kind of true.
yeah, it is kind of true.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, maybe not as like romanticized as that saying
Exactly.
is, but
Yeah.
did you do bartending? I know you said something, I can't remember if this was before we hit record or not, but you have worked in the service industry before.
Hmm.
Did you do bartending before opening your own business?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I typically didn't bartend a lot at the restaurants that I worked at. Um, but I've definitely been in that bartending space. Really, for me, it came down to bartenders are always there later than servers.
Yeah.
And I was never super big into the being there until 2 a.m. type of a lifestyle. So I did a lot of serving mostly, but I also made a lot of cocktails at home. So I would
Okay.
get cocktail books. My favorite's this margarita book that I have. Experimented with a lot of different types of margaritas. A beet margarita, if you've never had one, is fantastic.
Beet
A
margarita.
beet margarita. Yeah, it's
I
so
can't say that
simple,
I've
so
ever
good.
had a beet
Ever in
ever.
life.
I don't think so.
Wow, you're missing out.
Beet. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Maybe one bite, but that sounds so interesting. Like,
It's delicious.
yeah. So
It's
you were like experimenting,
mhm.
like trying new things,
Yeah.
like early on.
Yeah, just kind of building up my own skill set. I would say that the restaurant that I worked at in Williamsport for about 3 years called Moon and Raven, it's no longer there, but that they had a craft cocktail menu, and I feel like working there really inspired me to start trying some of those things on my own.
Gotcha.
Now, some people would say I have a very picky palate, but I am known for
You
going to
like beet
restaurants.
margaritas.
Yeah.
That's not picky.
Yeah, but I'm the girl that goes to a restaurant bar and I'll be like, can you give me this cocktail? But I need you to take away a little bit of this, add this, and then dazzle it up with this.
Yeah.
And they're like, they just know by now that that's how I am.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm really not trying to
They're like,
insult your cocktail.
Meg's coming.
Yeah.
She's gonna ask for something different.
Yeah, and I always ask for my cocktails less sweet than the way that people make them, just because
That's how you
that's what
are.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's so fun. It's fun to kind of hear how like a lot of photo video kind of creatives with their wedding business come out of this, like they got a camera, they started taking some pictures or some video, and then they're like, oh, let me try a wedding, and then they're like, oh, this is amazing, I love it. It's so fun
Mhm.
to hear how yours was kind of the same thing. Like you were just like creating cocktails, like trying, testing new things, figuring out what you like, what you didn't like. And
Mhm.
then now you are now here you are with like Winnie Bar and you're doing your own thing.
Yeah.
What do you love? I mean, there's probably a difference. I know you didn't bartend at a bar, but there's probably a big difference between like that kind of service and then the service that you have at a
Mhm.
wedding. What do you love most about that like wedding bartending service?
It's a lot more fun. It's so much fun. I think something that I didn't think about when I was getting into it was how incredibly it's an honor to be there for someone's big day.
Yeah.
I've not been that person that's invited to 7 weddings a year, friend. I'm not a lot of my friends aren't even married yet. Um, that's not true, actually, but,
All of your friends that are married, they're like,
yeah,
Meg,
they're
what are
like,
you
"What is
talking
she
about?
talking about?" But no, I wasn't that person that had 7 weddings to go to a year, so coming into this, weddings were fairly new to me,
Yeah.
and it was super cool to be like, "Wow, I'm witnessing all of these beautiful things, and I'm a perfect stranger."
Yeah.
So, it's fun, it's a long day always, but it's always incredibly fun, the music's great, the people are great. I mean, who doesn't love free booze, right? You know,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong. And also coming into it and recognizing that on the day of, I was kind of one of the most important people there, you know? When the line starts building up,
You
you're
get
like,
called out in plenty of maid of honor or best man speeches. I mean, you're doing something right.
yeah, exactly. I was like, wow, this is pretty fun. So,
No, that's awesome.
yeah.
So your setup, you were kind of mentioning this a little bit before we started. Your setup is kind of like there's some sort of bar setup, like here at Birchwood, they
Mhm.
have a bar setup and you're bringing the stuff necessary to make it all work. What's that setup kind of look like, and what's it take to kind of get all that stuff situated?
Yeah, I mean, it can be hectic. I usually try to show up quite a bit early before cocktail hour, just because another kind of thing that I've noticed is a lot of people want to have a cocktail for themselves before they even go to the ceremony.
Yeah.
So I've started to get to the point where I really have everything ready to go beforehand. And it really is just a matter of organizing everything, making sure all the same types of liquors are in the same place, all the ingredients that you need are right there. The cocktails are pre-batched. I have a really awesome ice chest that's like after my first 2 weddings, I realized, wow, bending down all night and scooping ice
Scooping
out of a
ice. Yeah.
cooler as a 33-year-old at the time, I'm like, this is not going to work out for very long. So I got a nice little hip level ice chest and used that for fresh ice for cocktails and everything. And I mean, it's a fun process. It is easier when I have a second bartender with me to help me
Yeah.
set up and carry everything and all that good stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what do couples need to know about a bartending service? You can kind of go like granular with like what should they be buying? What are you gonna bring? What are they gonna bring? Like,
Mhm.
how does that process all work?
It really depends on the couple. I kind of offer some different options as far as packages go. I do try to help couples mostly figure out what they should bring and how much of it they should bring. There's also some really great wedding calculators out there that kind of help you figure all of that out. But the last thing I want is for couples to run out of anything.
Yeah.
Um, and I do try to gear them towards ingredients that are, I should say, organic and as fresh as possible, especially when it comes to lemon and lime juices. It's really important that it's not some really gross sweet lime syrup, basically. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really think couples, I try to help them curate what they want. But also at the end of the day, I don't want people to over stress about the cocktails that they're serving at their wedding. I've had couples be like, well, all of my family drinks this. And I've told them, I've heard that a million times. And then the day of the wedding, everyone switches up what they want,
Yeah.
because it's free and there's new things to try. And so everyone switches it up. So I try to just give them an idea of like even amounts of certain things,
Okay.
and giving people a sweet option, a dry option. I hate to see it where it's, there's only sweet white wine at a wedding and sweet red wine, because there's by the end of the night, people want a nice dry option.
Yeah.
So I guess those are some of the details that I try to iron out.
Yeah. So are you bringing like the mixers and they're providing the alcohol, or like how does that work?
They have to bring the alcohol because I don't have an actual liquor license. It's incredibly difficult for anyone that's not a brick and mortar to have a liquor license. So really depending on the package, if they want me to supply certain things, I will, like if they need me to pick up ice or lemons and limes and, mixers, but I'm really starting to build out those packages a little bit more as I go along. For a while there, it was really just you guys bring everything, I'll show up and
Yeah,
bartend.
just make it work with whatever's there.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I always try to help them figure out what they should bring. I don't want to show up and, there's only Pepsi and ginger ale to work with,
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
No, that makes sense. I feel like it's such a hard thing to figure out with like there's maybe 100 people, maybe there's 150 people, sometimes there's 200 people. What do you what do they get for all of those people?
Well, it depends on if they
Your
want.
your big size, like,
Yeah,
oh, it's gonna be a doozy.
that's why I use a wedding calculator. But it really just depends on what they want. If they want specialty cocktails, I've been getting a lot of the, his and hers or hers and hers or his and his. Um, those types of cocktails,
Like a
they want
signature.
a signature
Yeah,
cocktail. And then also, I always recommend beer and wine. And then just your basic one ingredient cocktails. So your gin and tonic, your rum and coke,
gotcha.
stuff like that. And then as far as amounts goes, I typically will use a wedding calculator to help me figure that out. But again, just options, giving people options.
Yeah, so it seems like the simple options, it kinda gives, like, room for any type of person that likes any type of thing. There's probably gonna be something that's there for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, are there specific things that you kinda tell couples with those, like, signature cocktails, or is that just, like, whatever they come up with, you're like, "Yeah, let's do it."
I usually try to steer them a little bit one way or another. It depends on, well, really, a lot of times I feel like couples ask me, I really like this liquor. What do you think would be a good cocktail for that? So I try
Gotcha.
to help them, especially if it's going to come down to pre-batching, then, sure, do a cocktail that has 9 ingredients in it. But if you're wanting it to be made to order, maybe we dial it back a little bit,
Yeah,
And also, I try to help people understand too that a lot of these venues, there's not a sink nearby to rinse out your shaker sets. There's
yeah.
a lot of things that are missing in those spaces that a regular restaurant bar would have. So when it comes to like muddling and doing all that kind of thing, it's not that it can't be done,
It's just
but
difficult.
it's a little bit more difficult. Yeah. Yeah. I had a wedding where we muddled blackberries, fresh blackberries. And that was the messiest thing I've ever done in my life. And
Yeah,
I
it
was like,
sounds
yeah.
it sounds blackberries are messy to be like, I have a 2 and a 4-year-old. They get everywhere,
Yeah, exactly.
like, immediately stained too.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
No, that makes sense. I feel like there's a level of creativity with it that can be fun.
mhm.
But there's also this like maybe couples just feel like they have to do like a signature cocktail because it's like
Yeah.
the thing to do now.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of like the best ones that you've seen?
The blackberry margarita.
Is that it? It was
No.
awful to make, but no.
That wedding was great. I mean, we had a lavender French 75, and then the blackberry margarita. I also had a couple this past year. They did their own mixture of, I think it was like lavender, blueberry, and lime. And then they had another option that was cucumber, lime, and lemon.
Hmm.
And that was really great. And that went over really well. And what was nice about that is we didn't put any liquor in it to start. So you could have it as a mocktail,
Oh, cool.
but then you could also add whatever spirit you wanted. And so I would tell people, I think that this one would go really well with gin. I think that this one would go really well with vodka. And so
Is
we
it
kind of
more
just did it that
common to
way.
have the mixture, whether it's with the alcohol or without, to have that mixed together already?
It's starting to become more common. I think especially too, I've marketed myself as a craft cocktail bartender.
Okay.
But then you quickly realize that craft cocktails made to order in a large group is pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I still want people to have that option. So typically, if it's something that's really involved, I might say, hey, pre-batch this, or we'll pre-batch this, and then this one I'll make to order, so that way they have those options. But I do think pre-batching overall, when you have a wedding that's over 75 people, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
That way people aren't waiting
Getting drinks
for
out like a lot faster.
a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes total sense. I know I'm guessing you couldn't do like a cash bar because of the license stuff, or can you do?
I, I've never had one.
Okay.
It's
I'm just
always been open
curious. Yeah, I'm
bars.
curious your take on like couples that are kind of trying to figure out like, do we do an open bar and pay for all the stuff? Do we do sort of like a limited, like maybe the beer is the stuff that's free, and then if they want like liquor, then maybe they're paying some amount for that, or if there's
Yeah.
like a cash bar.
I've never done a cash bar thus far since starting. I think the couples that don't want to necessarily put a bunch of money into alcohol, like let's say their family doesn't really drink, they might just dial it back to some beer and wine and call it a
Gotcha.
day. Um, so I've seen that a few times. Or liquor is only allowed to be served at cocktail hour, and then after that, it's only beer and wine, that kind of a thing. I've never seen cash bars. Not to say that it couldn't happen or that it won't happen in my
Yeah.
future, but it's just not been. Haven't seen it yet.
No, that's okay. I just didn't know if you had like a thought on like pros and cons to like kind of the different options there.
Yeah. I mean, I would want to go to an open bar.
Yeah,
But,
no.
I understand. It's an expensive weddings are expensive.
Yeah, for sure. Um, are there kind of some trends in the last couple of years that you've been bartending that you've noticed either come and go, or some things that you kind of are seeing a little bit more of recently?
I think aside from the bartending part of it, I've seen what I really like is a lot more of a laid backness to some of the weddings that I've worked. Um, a less strict schedule, maybe a little bit more time for, I love the idea of doing pictures before the ceremony. So that way, after the ceremony, they can just go right to having fun.
Yeah.
Um, I've enjoyed seeing a little bit more of a looser dinner style, a lot of grazing, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, I mean, it's been awesome to see. My favorite part is speeches, I think, and dances. But
Yeah.
yeah, some weddings you see they don't do any of the traditional stuff,
Yeah.
and I have been seeing that a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot different
It's a
of a
lot different.
reception feel.
Yeah. You see a lot more people with, friends and family members officiating the wedding, um, and just having a little bit more of a non-traditional way about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm loving the like group entrances, and then like
Mhm.
the kind of quiet unannounced cake cutting, and like kind of
Yeah.
just like a little bit of a different feel, a different vibe for like the reception.
Mhm.
Probably are bound to at every wedding at one point or another have like a giant crowd of people, big long line,
Yeah.
and like you said, it's often just you,
Mhm.
or maybe you have one other person that's helping you. How do you like get all of those people through, still make sure they're like taken care of and noticed and seen and all that stuff?
That comes with my experience. I mean, I'm pretty fast at what I do. Um, I have a smile on my face at all times while I'm doing it. And really the best part is that the people that are in line are typically very happy and very easy to get along with. And they know, honestly, sometimes the busier I am, the more money I make,
Yeah.
because they see that I'm hustling and that I'm working really hard and that it's nonstop, and they value that and they want to tip me more,
Yeah.
which I'm never going to complain about.
Yeah.
So,
Don't ask any
yeah.
questions.
I try not to look too hard at the line, also. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. Because when you look down and you're like, oh, wow, the line's wrapped around the pool. Okay.
Okay.
You just keep it moving.
Yep.
Can't pay too much attention to it.
Yeah, no, I love that advice. Couples are maybe trying to figure out like, is there a bartending service maybe with the catering company that they
Hmm.
provide? Maybe it's something that they can kind of outsource separately, like
Hmm.
Winnie Bar. Is there stuff that couples should kind of be looking out for that, like, look for this, look for that. This is going to be a good bartending service if they have this or that, or if they do this for their couples.
Well, there's a lot of different options, like you said. A lot of venues have their own in-house bartenders already. Um, I'm a very much a freelance. If there's a space, if it's a do-it-yourself wedding and you need a bartender, I'm your girl type of situation. Um, I think going through your catering company is also very convenient. Probably a lot more money than I charge, but it's if you want convenience, I
Yeah,
totally get it, totally understand that. So I just think there's a lot of different options, and there's a lot of markup, a lot of overhead when it comes to alcohol. So if you are going that route with your catering company or with a restaurant, you're probably paying for a lot more than just the price of the bottle of liquor. But
gotcha.
again, convenience is convenience, and I
Yeah,
totally get it.
sometimes you pay for the convenience.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
it's not uncommon in any part of our lives. So
yeah, that is accurate. That is accurate. So they're deciding on all of these different things. Uh, how much do you feel like your personality kind of shines through? And I mean, because really, it's like that's what their guests are going to be met with when they go up
Mhm.
to the bar and go for another drink or their first drink. Like, you're the person that's going to be like kind of setting that off.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, if I bartend anyone's wedding, I will be dancing behind the bar. Always.
Yeah,
So I have been known to twerk a time or two behind the bar
there you
even,
go.
you know? I love to dance, I love to have fun. So really that's what this business is about for me, is having a really good time. So you're never going to see me behind the bar sulking. Uh I really think that being in the wedding industry has brought out that side of me even more,
Yeah.
especially because it is my own thing. And I love when people come up and ask me about the name of the bar, because then I get to talk about my cat for a solid 20
Yeah, it's like
minutes.
the best of both worlds. You're
Yeah.
twerking and then talking about your cat. You can't
Yeah, exactly.
lose.
Yeah, exactly. I'm listening to, some really good 90s club, I should say 2000s club music, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
You would love to be a photographer, videographer, and like be in the center of the dance floor.
Mhm.
You'd probably like you'd probably living out
Yeah. The
tons.
the first wedding that I did, I was out in the middle of the dance floor, but that's only because I
Your
knew
friends.
I knew a couple of the people there.
Winnie Bar, they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
That was
Maybe sometimes.
maybe
I
sometime. Maybe. I don't know.
don't think anyone minds it.
Yeah. Unless they want another drink and you're not
Oh,
there
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
But,
you're out in the middle of the dance floor twerking.
yeah. Taking a 5. Taking a
Yeah.
5.
Yeah. No, you deserve a 5
Yeah,
at
I
that
think
point.
so. It's 9 hours is a long day to be on your feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there things that couples might overlook when they're kind of trying to figure out and planning this, the bartending part of the reception?
I think sometimes it can be overlooked just how involved a bar can be, as far as what all ingredients are needed and what ingredients are going to make the best cocktail, how much that all costs, how much you need of something, and also the carrying part of it too. Especially the liquor. I know a lot of times maybe a bride and groom will have their mom or dad, buy all the stuff, and then they come up to me and they're like, "Man, that's a lot of stuff, that's a lot to carry." And I'm like, "I know." And then, at the end of the night, there's also a lot that might be needed loaded up and all that good stuff. Also, I like to let people know that if bottles are not opened throughout the night, they can typically be returned. That's not what my dad did for my brother's wedding. He kept them all at the house. So, uh,
He's still having a good time.
yeah, he's still having a good time with them. He did give me one of the Tito's bottles,
There you
but
go.
yeah.
No, I love that. So there's a part of like the bartending service or the bar idea that like could get out of control
Mhm.
if not like kept a lid on. I'm curious, like for other bartenders that might be listening in to this episode, do you have advice for kind of keeping the bar fun, engaging, entertaining even, but still keeping things kind of like under control?
Yeah, I mean, one nice thing that venues have started to do, which could be a popular or unpopular thing, is they've started to not allow shots to be done,
Hmm.
or for the bar to go past a certain point of the night. I myself even will usually cut off my service no later than 11, just because I feel like after that point, most people have been drinking for multiple
Yeah,
hours.
probably don't need much more.
Yeah, exactly. And, at that point, that's up to them as adults. I just try to keep a good eye on things, and that's pretty easy to do when they're coming right up to the bar.
Yeah.
There has
You
certainly
can literally
been
see
you
how they
can
walk to it.
exactly, yeah. So there's been evenings where I've started to notice, but I wouldn't quite cut someone off. So I might just throw a baby bit of liquor in their cup and then the rest will be filled with water, you
Yeah.
know? And most of the time they don't notice the difference.
Yeah.
So I will start to kind of gauge things that way and just really keep an eye on people. I don't want to be and not that, I mean, I have a contract that people sign that say I'm not liable for incidences like
But you
that,
don't want an
but I don't
incident.
want anything to happen. I would
Yeah.
still feel responsible, you know, no matter what.
Yeah.
So it's just important to keep a good eye on, which having been in the industry for as long as I have, it's a pretty easy tell at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you could probably I'm fine. You're like, "No, you're not
No, you're
fine."
not. No.
How do you usually end up working with, like, planners, maybe even, like, the caterers, the venues to kinda keep everything running smoothly on your end?
Yeah, I mean, really just communication. A lot of the venues that I work at have been really, really wonderful with checking in, making sure that I have everything that I need because I am a one man show most of the time.
Yeah.
They're really good about just making sure that there's not, my trash can needs changed or I need more ice that's, downstairs in the freezer and things like that. So it's been lovely. And I've worked with a lot of catering companies too that I also know and have become friends with. And
Yeah.
that's been wonderful. And they always feed me and it's
That's
so
so nice.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, I will say that one of my favorite parts about being in the wedding industry has been meeting all the different vendors.
Yeah.
I've had so much fun with them and you can kind of chit chat and, laugh at some people's dance moves together and just stuff like that. It's
Yeah, that's so
it's a lot
fun.
of fun.
That's so fun. And I do feel like it could be a kind of a weird in between if like a catering company has a service, but then you kind of show up. Like it could be like a little weird in between, but it seems like you've had a pretty good
Oh,
experience.
such a good experience. Yeah, I've never had any kind of issue or anything like that. Everyone's always been really helpful and um yeah, it's been lovely.
So you've been doing this for a couple of years now.
Mhm.
I'm curious, like, do you have like a standout moment from a past wedding that just like it's like favorite, memorable?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. There was a wedding, I think it was last year, where the groom's mom had been in a really bad accident and she was not able to walk very well. She wasn't very mobile. And during the mother son dance, he held her up and they danced together to, I forget what the song was, but he held her the entire time and I
Oh,
think she just kind of stood on his feet or something like that. Um, but there was not a dry eye in the
oh, I'm
entire and it
sure.
was here at Birchwood. And I remember looking over at the catering company and they were sobbing, I was sobbing, and all at once we all just went back into the little kitchen area so that we could actually sob.
Don't just feel like crying in front of
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. That's that's another thing to note about me is that I will most likely be crying through all of your first dances.
I love it.
It's just I'm a crier. I
Yeah,
can't help it.
I love it. It all hit different. Like once I was married and then we had our daughter, I was like, gosh, all of this just feels so different
Mhm.
because you just have like a different perspective on it
Yeah.
all.
I'm not even married or have kids, but
Wait,
I'm
if
a
you do, you're gonna cry like a
yeah.
baby. You're gonna be like,
I
"Oh,
think
I
I
remember
already
when I
do.
got," yeah, you
Yeah.
got all that stuff.
I've always been emotional. You can ask my parents. I cried during like commercials. It's just
Commercials. That commercial that's a stretch. Maybe
it's
movies,
real.
TV shows, but commercials.
Yeah. And I can cry. I will cry the same way through a movie that I've seen 100 times.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. I will still cry with the same gusto. Is that the word?
Sure.
I will just
We'll make it the word.
yeah. Yeah. I think I just made that up.
No, I love it. I'm just curious, like, kind of going back to the beginning, now that you've had these years like under your belt, you have a business, it's running, it's going smooth. What do you wish you knew when you started out? And you can kind of like speak right to the vendor that's like just getting started or like right before things are gonna launch. Like, do
Yeah.
I do like what do you wish you knew back in the beginning?
You're going to be important. Yeah. You're going to be an important piece. I think the service industry in general has a reputation of just being, you hear, "Oh, well, you can't just be a server all your life, or you can't just be this all your life." And I think going into it, I felt like I was just going to be a wedding bartender. And then you realize there's so much communication that's involved between you and the couple, and a lot of emailing back and forth a year and a half out from the
Yeah.
wedding. So much is involved. And then on the day of, again, you're such an important piece. There's, people want to drink and they want to have good cocktails and they want to have fun. And being able to be the person that's what I kind of call the fun curator
Yeah.
is incredible, and you're important,
Yeah. I
you
love
know?
that. If you're a wedding bartender out there,
If you're a
take
wedding
that and
bartender,
run with
you're
it.
you're important.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. No, it's so fun. Well, Meg, thank you so much for being on. It was so fun to hear all of your experience. Even though you weren't supposed to be on this film day, I'm so glad that you're here.
My time management skills lately are not great.
Not even time. I would say day
Yeah, day
management. Yeah.
management, yeah.
You were
Like,
you were right on
what day
time.
is it? Well, I know I have play practice today. That's
No,
all
I
I
love
got.
it. I hope everyone listening got a ton of great knowledge, information, tips, tricks, all the things. Where can people find and follow along with what you're doing with Winnie Bar?
Social media right now, yeah. So I'm a preferred bartender at a few different venues around the area. So you'll probably see my name at like Birchwood, Pump House, Cypress House, and Barnet Greenwood in Millville. But I am open and willing to travel. I've worked at numerous different venues in the
Yeah,
area. I worked at the Poconos back in May, met a famous comedian, which was incredible.
sweet.
Um, so yeah, social media, Instagram, Facebook. My email is megswinniebar@gmail.com.
Cool.
So that's probably the best way to reach me.
Yeah.
So
And all that stuff will be in the description down below so they can click on all those links or
yeah,
grab your email from down
yeah.
there. Do you have any projects or things coming up that you're excited about? I know you got the play.
Yeah, the play. I mean, I want to do every year. I'm trying to do a different photo shoot for my bar business. I've had some really great. I have so many talented photographer friends.
Yeah.
But one year I actually had a girl from The Bachelor take my photos, which was really
Dang.
awesome. Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
so fun, and she made a whole reel about me and a TikTok and all that good stuff. So that was really fun. But yeah, I mean, the next thing on my list is really just curating some more of those packages, and I would love to start doing, even outside of weddings. I would love to start doing some more private events, and yeah, I've already done a few, but would love to just
Yeah.
broaden my horizons and travel a bit more. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Get her out somewhere fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. Someone in Hawaii. Book up Winnie Bar
Yeah,
so she can talk about her cats.
yeah, exactly. Hope
I
you
love
like
it.
cats.
Yeah. Well, Meg, thank you so much for being on. Again, just so grateful that you wanted to be on the podcast and just share all of the fun things. For everyone listening, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following along, leaving a review, all the things. I hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast as much as I have putting all of this on. And that's all for this episode, and we'll catch you next time on the Preferred List.
Yes, thank you.